Hi everyone, welcome back to Metanoia. My name is Carrie Jane, and today we're going to be starting my playlist on the life path numbers as children. Before we start dissecting each life path number, there's a few things that need to be said. I'm going to establish my intent for the series in this video, and I'm also going to talk about some personal stuff that will hopefully provide some context as to why this matters to me and in the way that this matters to me. And so this video is essentially going to be about children. It's going to be about all the life path numbers as children. There is a lot to talk about with this, and I hope that I'm able to express myself in the best way I can, and hopefully give a good start to, all this information that we're going to be diving into. And surely there will be a lot left unsaid because every single human being is unique to themselves. And so, this is why I offer readings, is because you can look on YouTube all day, every day, looking for answers, but the only thing that will provide anything of substance that is accurate to you is simply sitting with yourself, and particular to that child, to whoever we're going to be talking about on this channel. It will require your participation. It will require your mindfulness, it will require your attention, it will require your deductive reasoning, your analysis of yourself and your surroundings. And that is with any numerology video that I put on this channel. And you should take that home to yourself for anything that you're going to be viewing on the internet. Yes, the internet is an invaluable resource to help us understand ourselves in the world that we live in. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to just sitting with yourself and getting in tune with the truth of the matter that you're exploring, or this life, your life as a whole. Whatever it is that you are inquiring about, whether that be, your numerology chart or your astrology chart, or what species of plant that you were gifted, or anything that you can Google on the internet. So I just want to get that out of the way real quick. But let's talk about why I'm making this playlist. Let's talk about my intent for this. And that is, for starters, to hopefully close any gap that may or may not be present between a parent and a child. My second intent for this playlist goes deeper, and I want to do this because I want to, if possible, prevent what happened to me, or really almost anyone, to happen to other kids, to other children. And I personally, like myself, do not want to have any biological children, but I have spent a good part of my life now worried about the children of this world. And when I say that, I really mean everyone. We're all kind of children, we're deep down, we do have an inner child, even if we are grown now. I'm worried about those as well, not just the children who are presently children. And I think that what we do to our children says a lot about ourselves. It says a lot about what we're doing to ourselves, essentially. Because deep within our psyche, whatever we're doing to a child, we're doing to our inner child. Like, that is our attitude towards our inner child. So I hope that whatever I can provide through the lens of numerology is helpful in some way. But certainly you should know that there are just some things that numerology is not going to be able to do for all of us. It is just a simple tool to help expand our awareness, to get us thinking. What numerology can't do for us is give us an open mind, is give us patience and love and understanding of our children, of children as a whole on planet Earth. And that is what this video is going to be about for now. It's not going to be about any particular life path number. It's just going to be about the children of the Earth right now. There are certain topics and certain areas of spirituality that I agree with, that I resonate with, and some that I don't. And some of the things that I do agree with the New Age consensus, the New Age ideas that have emerged on the Earth recently, is that I believe in reincarnation. And I believe in the new waves of consciousness that are visiting the Earth right now, that are incarnating on Earth as humans. I believe that there is a revolution of consciousness happening from our perspective very slowly because of the way that we have to live in these bodies, but from outside of ourselves actually happening quite quickly, thanks to the incarnation of these so-called new souls, or rather, maybe they're not new, maybe there's something else about them that makes them, how do I put this, more open, let's just say, more aware of their surroundings, and on a certain level that other people in the past especially were not aware of. We were in, and still are, considered in 3D consciousness, which is just a term that means we are in survival mode. It's just eat, sleep, fuck, reproduce. Like, that's it. Like animals, except we have higher functioning capacities that we have really been ignoring up until recently. And so there's this new wave of consciousness entering the Earth, and I think that is being helped by certain souls incarnating on Earth to help that process of welcoming higher states of consciousness, higher states of awareness beyond we just need to survive, beyond that, welcoming a new reality that is just in the beginning stages trying to explain, actually, there's much more than that, and you are capable of much more than that. So that's how I view that. And I do believe that with every decade, for probably the past 100 years now, we've slowly been incarnating on this planet to help that. And so, as Dolores Cannon would put that, which I've read many of her books, is what she called the three wave of volunteers. And so every decade would bring in like a new batch of souls, and they would kind of have a refreshed or a new thing to bring based on what the world needed at that time and where we are, and basically like the level up from that. Having said that, I also believe that the kids that are being born now, which are often called, rainbow crystal children or whatever, are not like us. I'm asking you to listen to them. Not all of them, of course, because there's lots of souls out there. There's lots of human beings out there. This is still, in my opinion, a limited part of the population. We're all born with karma. We all have the different kinds of karma. We all have different things that we are trying to overcome, and each soul is divine in that mission. But I do believe, in my opinion, that some of these souls are just purely volunteer souls, and I think now more than ever they are here. Still a limited part of the population, but I still think that If you go outside right now and you see a handful of children, at least one of those children are going to be considered what I'm talking about here. So I'm saying this because it's important to listen to children now. It's important to pay attention to children. And this is where I'm going to, I think, segue into my experience as a child and why I don't want, what I want to prevent for these new children based on my experience. When I was very young, I had a hard time being a human. I remember having very strange experiences and just looking around at people and thinking, wow, this is crazy. And seeing people for what they are in a way that I think most kids were too, naive, I guess, to perceive. But I remember being very young and really feeling the heaviness of the corruption of the world. And not knowing exactly how or why that was, because still as a 3, a 4, or a 5-year-old, like you don't know anything at the same time. So you have a feeling about where your immediate environment and what's happening, but you don't know what to think of it because you've barely seen anything. If you're a new visitor, you've been on the planet for like 5 seconds. And I also knew I was very different. So when you're that young and you're very different, you separate yourself from other people so that you can explore that on your own, because you're not going to be able to explore that with other people. And so I had a very rich inner life as a child, and I was very much of pure heart and balanced mind. I think that's what makes me unique. It wasn't just that I was empathetic, it's that I had a very good, strong mind capable of logical deductions as much as a child could, at least to an extent. And I was able to navigate certain things very well because of that. And so I was a kid with a lot of deep insights, but unfortunately I had nothing to foster that. I had nowhere to go with that. Many of you might have experienced something very similar. If you're watching this video right now, you're probably not the status quo. Most likely. Maybe you are. I don't know, but you might have had a very similar experience. I remember being like 9 years old and having a thought and verbalizing it and having my mom say, "You're only 9 years old. You're not capable of that thought. You're not old enough to be thinking about that. That's not something you should ever say to a child." First of all, that child is thinking about that. That's why they're saying it. So obviously they are capable of that thought if it's happening. Just because that child hasn't paid taxes yet and gone to a job for 40 hours a week and has earned money like you have doesn't mean that they don't know a lot. In fact, I would say they know more than we do because of that. I would say that by the age of 21, whatever pure heart and balanced mind was there is crushed by this society. And only a couple of people survive that experience of getting into adulthood. The inner child that is of pure heart and pure mind is killed in that process. And you saying that to a child is a sign of that your own inner child is dead. That's perhaps when you were a child, you weren't thinking of those things, but guess what? This child is capable of thinking of those things, and you must create an environment that fosters that, which brings me to the next thing. Know your kid. I don't have any children, but what I honestly feel is right is that there is no one universal parenting method for all children. I think that the best way you raise a child is you know your kid. You know them on a very deep level, and you develop a plan based on that, and you acknowledge their strengths and their weaknesses. And instead of teaching them consequence, you teach them empathy. And instead of making them aware of their weaknesses, you make them aware of their strengths. And this is not what we're doing to our kids. It makes me very sad, but mostly very angry. People have a way of denouncing anything that they don't understand. Just because they don't understand, it goes into this, neat little box of everything I don't understand, and also that happens to be everything that I don't agree with. That is most people that I have ever known. And then, oh, look, there's everything that I do understand, and I happen to agree with those things. Humans are overly simple in this way. The new kids on the block are not like this. They are much more expansive. I never thought I'd say this, but they're capable than more than you are. And not necessarily you, the person who's watching this video. I'm talking about my mother. I'm talking about people like my mother. I'm talking about people like my adults, in my life. Whoever was older than me and who helped raise me, and whoever, taught me at school maybe, or whatever adults that you had to come into contact with. There are certain things that cannot be learned through experience. There are some things that are acquired through years of incarnations, and sometimes I think when a soul is new to this planet, somehow they are able to take whatever wisdom they gained from that with them. Why some children are more tuned into that wisdom and some children are not, or some rather human beings are tuned into that and some human beings are not, I will never understand that. I don't know why that is. Deep down, I feel like every single human being is capable of reaching the same heights. They all have the same exact potential, but what I've seen in this world is, like I said, people who are just so ready to denounce anything that they don't understand. And it makes me angry because no child should have to do that. I wonder constantly who I could have been or how I could have turned out if I had a family with a higher state of consciousness who could look at me and see me, who cared to know me, who didn't just have a kid because that's what you do in life and have them around and they are whatever you want them to be, or they are whatever shallow thing you think they are. They are much more than that. We are all much more than that. And I think if our parents were able to do that for us, to love us by seeing us because they've had the capacity to look at themselves and look at life in a certain way, so that when they meet their child, they can see the divine creation in them that is also within themselves. I think that if we lived in a world like that, all of our problems would slowly dissolve away. Think about everyone who is incapable of being in a long-term relationship, who is incapable without being in an abusive relationship, incapable without being in an unhealthy relationship. I think it all stems from this, because our mom and our dads don't love us. Think about it. They love us based on who they think we are. They love us because of what we do for them. Maybe they had kids just because they want something to take care of them when they get older, or they want something to have grandkids so then they can fixate on that. They don't care to know us. That's why I'm telling you, know your kids. If you love your child, and you do, you will know your kid. You will work on the deeper capacities of love in that way. There's this quote that I really like that I often talk about in various mediums on social media, and it goes something like, you can only meet a person as deeply as you've met yourself. Okay, so you can only see a person for their depth and complexity as much as you have looked into yourself and seen your own depth and complexity. And if you think about it, it makes sense why it could be like that. If you can't see something within yourself, you're never going to see it in another person. And this is why I think a lot of us have grown up alone, because we are so much more than what other people perceive us as, because no one is seeing the beautiful divine creation that they are as themselves. And so that is why I don't hold hatred or contempt towards my parents for not loving me in this way, because I know it's just because they don't love themselves, because they can't see it within themselves. They do not care to go past the 3D consciousness to learn about an existence other than eating and sleeping and fucking, learning about other ways of exploring this crazy expansive universe that is just so beautiful. I know that they're not capable of that, or rather they are capable of that, but they choose to not explore it. And that is their free will choice, and that is what we must all come to accept, to have a level of peace regarding this. But the reason why I'm explaining this is because I don't want you to do this to your kid. This may or may not have been an experience that you had, but I want to raise awareness on it so that when we all have our own children, we don't do this to them. By simply acknowledging it, by simply looking at it and know what's going on, we can make a different choice. I want kids to be fostered. I want them to be taught empathy instead of consequence. I want someone to see them. I want them to know that I see them. You're not alone. And even if you're an adult right now watching this video, which most of you are, because this is not made for kids, even if you're an adult, like I see the child in you as well. And so that is what I mean by that as well. I see you in that capacity. I would like to wrap up this message by saying that our kids are here to teach us. We're here to make sure they stay alive, to make sure they have a safe, loving environment, to teach them about this crazy planet called Earth and all the treasures it has, all the cool food it has, and all the interesting experiences and all the landscapes to explore. Those are the things they have no awareness of. They don't know yet because they're brand new. But at the same time, our kids have a lot to teach us based on who they are and based on where they just came from, which was Source itself, like each and every one of us. That place that is home that we have all forgotten in this existence. Our kids are going to teach us a lot about this world, and they're going to teach us a lot about ourselves. So with that, I feel like I could make 3 more videos on this topic, but let's not, unless that's what you guys want. I've considered doing a live stream or something like that recently, just because I think certain streams of consciousness while you're talking, based on like people asking questions, things of that nature, I think offer more than what a presentation like this offers. I've considered that. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. As always, if you want a reading with me, check out the links in the description. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe so that those who are meant to find this video and those who are meant to find this channel can. Thank you all so much. I'm excited to dive into each life path number as a child and explore those spaces within numerology. I'm excited to explore it with you. So here we go. I'll see you all soon. Take care. Have a lovely week.